So that makes me wonder, actually, like how far apart things have to be. So at Maker Faire, actually,
yes, I heard
they
about
had this
this.
like stencil thing, and I ran away and like grabbed one of them and made this like thing, and I was gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna make like major and minor chords, right?
Yeah, cool.
So like, but it's kind of hideous and creepy. And I think I might have actually connected some of them.
I had a dream about that once. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Someday I will, though, but now I'm like, even just after talking to you today, I'm like, man, there's so much I would change on this, you know?
I mean, like, so I think that so looking at the touchboard, and I'm going to take the shield off just so it's easier to see the board. So the touchboard has 12 electrodes along the top edge. Okay, one of the like basic rules is don't connect them to each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't break anything. It just doesn't work.
Don't cross the stream.
Yeah, don't cross the streams. Don't worry, it's not that bad. In fact, we never found out. Did we find out what happened when they crossed the streams?
I think they ripped the universe apart.
Yeah, you're right. So that was terrible.
Yeah.
No, there's no. as far as our experience, there's been no damage to the universe by connecting these electrodes together. Maybe in some parallel universe, people are saying something, but anyway. Okay, so. You have these 12 electrodes. You want to connect one electrode to one sensor. Mm-hmm. So here, I could argue that this is just one sensor because they're kind of all connected.
Yeah.
Right? But it would merit investigating it because it's not a kind of imperfect electrical connection between, say, these two. So, you know, it is a little bit...
Like, definitely these two, but a little bit like...
Yeah, so these two look pretty well connected.
Yeah.
But then these two, I'm not sure if they're... You know, they're not super well connected. So you might get away with it. And I actually think that this is the space where we have the most excitement and most success. When we put this in the hands of someone who understands the physics and the electronics behind what we're doing, they inherently know, well, I shouldn't connect the electrodes together. Yeah. And so they provide lots of nice space between them. But the problem is they don't tend to discover anything new in this way because they understand it so well. Yeah. But we find with a lot of fine artists that they will do things like this, connect it up, and it kind of works. But it creates an interesting possibility that propels the project. And we really like that. So if you came to our Maker Faire stand and you said, I made this thing, what do I do? I would not give you this whole discussion. What I would say is, well, my first suggestion would be try connecting to this one and this one with separate electrodes and see if you can get the touchboard to recognize individual touches. And the touchboard comes pre-programmed with an audio guide. So you wouldn't so you wouldn't have to reprogram it.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so, you know, one of the things that's useful for that is I could just say connect it up. If you can hear one track of the audio guide and a second track, cool, they're separate buttons. If you touch this and you hear the same track, then they're connected. You know, it is a really interesting spot for people to be able to experiment with it because the board's very, very robust and it works out of the box. So it's like connect it however you want, paint big stuff, little stuff, connected to weird materials.
Probably the next thing I would do is like cut them apart and then stick them to different things, but in like, and that like makes the project more interesting in my head. Totally. It's not just a piece of paper now. It's gonna be like something.
So one of the really interesting things about the board is that like, and which relates directly to your buttons, is that it's not necessarily these are not necessarily discrete sensors. So each sensor, so let's pretend that this is two sensors connected to the board. As I said, they work from about this far away. So then, you could set a threshold so that they're just buttons. You know, I press this, I hear one note. I press this, I hear another note. You can also set it so that you hear, I don't know, we change the volume as they get close, or modulate the pitch, or something like that. But if you put them next to each other, you can also use those things together. So you can assemble a single data stream out of the two streams of data that are coming from each sensor.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then you start to get something really rich out of it. And
so you could make like, you know, a major chord and a minor chord just by like having this guy do two of them and then like have this being the, you know, the E and then that one be E flat and then just like either go here or there. And, like,
exactly. And I think like the, the simple way to put it is you can have a button that's A, a button that's B, and then a button that's C when you touch both. But then it's because it's not just a 1 or a 0.
Yeah.
Because it has so much resolution, you actually have the ability to do lots of manipulation around it.
That's super cool.
It is really cool. It's like it's something that we really want people to take advantage of. Yeah.
Cool.